Thank you for staying tuned. And to talk about the kidnap incident in Benue State, I'm joined live by my guest, Chris Akwarando, a public affairs commentator. Good morning, Chris. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning,
Mr. Akwarando, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me start by asking what your thoughts are on this incident. 2 killed and then a ransom of 5 million naira being demanded for those abducted.
Well, first of all, it's a sad incident, but we need to ask ourselves, where did rain start beating us? When did we get to this point? There are some remote causes that must have led to these immediate issues. Of course, we know that Benue has been a flashpoint. You remember the Chief Jukun situations and so on and so forth, but the farmers' health clashes. But the issue is, do we actually think about the remote causes of these issues before we begin to discuss the immediate situations? The immediate causes, of course, could be traced back to the fact that we've never bothered about creating citizens of our country. We have hyphenated citizens, and so you have a situation in which people don't think about the country; they only think about their social, relationships, their religious relationships, their tribal relationships. Okay. Now, we've also should think about the role that state creation had played. When states were created, were we thinking about cohesion? Were we thinking about cultural affinity? Were we thinking about people understanding themselves? Now, 3, we must also be thinking about the issue of indigenous settler situations. Indigenes who accommodated settlers. Where did the settlers go? What was happening to the settlers? We should also be thinking about the issue of religion. Well, how has religion influenced us? We know that in this country, religion plays a large role in appointments, in business, in governments, in politics. So why don't we reduce the influence of religion so that people can worship their God as a personal thing, not as a national thing? Now, we should also be thinking about the issue that politics plays. Now, we play politics of who gets what, politics of winner takes all, politics of as soon as I'm there, all of you should come. I tell you, look at these ministers, for instance. Do you know that each of them, their whole villages go there with their problems? Now, this is also a nation where poverty plays a lot of role in the way people think. Do we have people who think outside the box? Do we have people who worry about how to commercialize agriculture, for instance? Do we worry about how to commercialize cattle rearing? Okay, we don't worry about that. We only worry about, oh, these are for that, that's what we're going to do. So all these are aggregated, to cause this level of tension we have around the country. Not just Benue. Okay, these communities in Benue are not different from communities in Ebonyi. They're not different from communities in Delta. They're not different from communities in Cross River. All these are happening between Ebonyi and Cross River, within Anambra, within Oyo, in Delta. So you cannot talk about this in exclusion. You talk about this as what is happening in our country, whether it is in Kaduna, whether it is in Borno, whether it is in Zamfara. All these are caused by the same issues.
Let's talk a bit about our security. Just to butt in the Chris Akwarando, you've talked about remote causes, you've talked about the immediate causes of this crisis we're having pertaining to kidnapping. Let's talk for a minute about our security agencies. These are recurring issues of kidnapping. Do you think our security agencies are capable of tackling this menace?
The security agencies are very capable. That is, and they're also overhauling themselves. Before now, if you recall, there was a man called Alozu Weda, who was a policeman, who talked about the police not being developed, police not being trained, police not being equipped during the President Babangida administration. You could recall. So when we de-equip the police, when we detrain the police, when we are not sure of the recruiting process on the police force, when we don't have enough police to police, how do you think peace can be maintained? The military cannot do it alone. The military, it's supposed to take care of our territorial integrity. But the military is now being called into internal stripes, okay? But I can assure you that the police is being re-equipped. The welfare of police people are now being taken care of. They're not providing accommodation for them, trying to think about how to pay the school fees of the children, medical bills, training the police, retraining the police, and re-equipping the police. So I think the police will be up to it. It's just a matter of giving a little bit of time. Then the second angle to this has been the issue of intelligence gathering. We've been having issues with the law enforcement agencies coming across purposes in terms of sharing security information. Okay. Now, the issue is that has been taken care of because they now understand that more of the military personnel are being killed, more policemen are being killed. So if by your own mistakes, your people are dying, your men are dying, then it doesn't make sense, isn't it? So they are also improving. Now, the third point is the political will to change situations. If the leader gets involved in the crisis because of religion, because of tribe, then things get bad. Or if the leader is lethargic, I don't want to spend a lot of money on this, it's not a priority, let them take care of it, then there's a problem. Then the fourth arm is that the local authorities are now being involved in intelligence gathering and then trying to see that those that are displaced are resettled, okay, whether they're traditional rulers or opinion leaders within those communities. And once you do this, see, let me tell you, insecurity is because you are lax. You are not insecure when you're conscious that you need to protect yourself. And this is what is happening in Lagos. In Lagos, there is consciousness by everybody about security. The Lagos Neighborhood Watch is doing quite a lot. And when people talk about state police, I keep wondering, you haven't managed the federal police. Now you're going to have state police and you're going to destroy the whole thing. Lagos has Lagos Neighborhood Watch, which is probably akin to having a local police. They don't bear arms, they just bear batons. They have bicycles, they have motorcycles, and then they've also now are giving security vehicles. Now, these people are doing a good job in our neighborhood. And so they have reduced the level of insecurity in Lagos State. If it can be replicated in all the rest of
Mr. Akwarando, if you can still hear me, just to quickly chip in, the National Security Advisor, that's Nuhu Ribadu, during a meeting with the Senate said a comprehensive and integrated approach is needed in tackling insecurity. Do you think this is really our challenge in Nigeria? You've talked about training, you made reference to welfare. Some persons say it's more of political will. What do you have to say about that?
It's not just about political will. It's also about the citizens' will. That's where I have a problem. When the citizens move every decision making to the government or those in governance, what do they do themselves? I'll give you a little example. Markets keep burning whenever you have a celebration. Does that mean that the marketers themselves, those that sell within those markets, why don't they organize themselves to protect the market? That's just an example. Now, you have a community that there is insecurity. They have traditional rulers. They have chiefs, they have opinion leaders, they have the security apparatus within that local community. So why should there be insecurity in that community? So because everybody is looking for rent seeking. If they don't give me, I will not do anything. But you don't forget that when the sheep is urinating on its tail and keep saying that I'm urinating on the floor, then the floor should suffer. It's the tail that is suffering. In other words, the problem of the cricket is in the tummy of the cricket. If the cricket refuses to solve the problem in its tummy, the problem will remain there. So the problem with Nigeria is shifting blame. You keep shifting the blame. What am I doing as a person? In my neighborhood, for instance, we make sure that our security system is well organized. You can't walk into my estate without somebody asking, who are you looking for? Who are you? You can't even pass the gate. So if people become conscious that security is a matter of consciousness, it's not a matter of who takes the blame when a problem has occurred. But at the point of how do we solve this problem before it starts? That's what Alai Nurba is talking about. That's what he's thinking about. And that's also what he's calling people to do. Because if, for instance, when Boko Haram started, the Borno community tried to ward that up. If they stop thinking in terms of religion, if they stop thinking of who comes in and who didn't come in, all right, they would have been able to leave that in the bud. And I can assure you, yes, even the problem in the Okuama community, when they say, oh yeah, this place is too militarized, why is military doing this and that? It's because you're not conscious of what you're doing.
And that's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your expertise on the news. That's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Chris Akwarandu, public affairs commentator. Thank you once again.